Okay, I'm going to hopefully quickly explain how to go through the various steps that you need for the decision tree for the homework this week. So looking at this Excel spreadsheet, this is the auctions, eBay auctions spreadsheet. So the first thing that you need to do is you need to convert your categorical data to dummy data. And the reason why we have to do this, it really is specific to this software. Most software does not make you do this for data mining, but Analytics Solver can only handle binary categorical data. So for instance, over here in competitive, that is 0 and 1 data. It's either competitive or it's not. So we don't need to convert that particular attribute. However, we do need to convert the other one. So they're telling us to convert category over here, currency, duration, end of day. The rest of them are numeric values, so seller rating, close price, opening price. Competitive, like I said, is our outcome variable. It's already binary, so we don't need to do anything about that. In other more robust data mining software suites, you can actually give it multivariate categorical data, and it handles it just fine. So this step that we're doing is really specific to this particular software. So I'm going to go into data mining, and then I am going to wait for the screen to get out of my way. Under the data mining group, I'm going to choose I'm one step ahead. Go to transform, go to transform categorical data, create dummies. Now from here, I need to tell it which ones need to have dummies created. So we need category, we need currency, we need end of day, and we need duration. So I'm just going to pull these attributes over, and I'm going to click OK. It's going to create a new sheet called encoding. And in here is my data. It's got everything, including the seller rating, the close price, the opening price, whether or not it's competitive. But now, let me move this over, you can see it has all these new variables created where it has basically taken the categories and broken them out into their category types and then put a 0 or 1 for whether or not that record has that particular category. So you can see we've now increased our attributes by quite a bit. But all the data is here. Now from here, so we're building on this. Now from here, the next step is we need to create a partition for our cross-training. So we're going to go up to under data mining. Let me pull this up so you can see it. We're going to go to partition, standard partition. We're going to use the default, which is 60% is going to be used for training, 40% is for validation. That's the standard. We're going to keep all the defaults here and then just press OK. Oh, sorry. No, we're going to bring the variables over first. Sorry. So let me bring over all the variables and then press OK. Now, I've got to pull this down so you can see it. You'll see we now have a partition called STD partition. Again, this has all the data from the last partition from the encoding one. But now it's got record ID 1 and record ID 2. That's from the first one is from the encoding. The second one is from the partitioning. And then we have the seller rating, close price, open price, competitive, etc., and all the other data. Now from here, the next step is from this data set, we're going to start doing the actual classification. So I'm going to click on classify, go to classification tree. One of the things that's new in here, and I need to look into this a little bit, it used to just be choose your variables, tell me what the outcome is. Now it's got selected variables, categorical variables, and output variables. Now I've run it both ways and I don't see where the tree dramatically changes. So I'm going to just do simpler is easier. We're going to do it the way it used to be done, which is I'm going to choose everything. Don't choose the record ID. When you go to try to run it, it'll tell you can't. So just choose everything from seller rating on down, and I'm going to put it in selected variables. I was trying it before where I kept the numeric variables up here and put the categorical down here. But like I said, it didn't change how the tree was built, so I don't know exactly what this is doing, although I have an idea. But it didn't dramatically change the performance of the tree. So I brought competitive over by accident. I'm going to bring that back over. That actually needs to go here. So we are trying to predict if something is competitive or not based on these variables. So these are our independent variables up here. This is our dependent variable if we're talking in statistical terms. It's figured out the number of classes is 2. That's all it can handle. Again, other software can do more than 2 classes, but in this case we have either you're competitive or you're not. And then we're going to click Next. And here is where we're going to put in the parameters they've asked us to do. So it wants the records in the terminal nodes to be set to 50, which means there has to be 50 in the terminal node in order for it to be valid. It basically avoids some overfitting. We do want it to prune, and we do want to see the best pruned tree. And then we want it to go down to maximum number of levels is 7, and I'm going to choose best pruned again. And then I'm going to click Next. This is fine, just leave it as is and click Finish. And then you're going to see all these new worksheets show up. So this is your output. If you go here to Best Tree, this is what your tree looks like. So these are, again, you're building. So with this pre-processing, you're doing one step at a time and building off what you did in the previous step. But you do need to be on the correct data when you run things. So whatever worksheet you're clicked in and whatever you're doing, it's going to do it to that worksheet. If you do that, you shouldn't run into the problems with 1,000 records because the partitioning is actually the 60-40 partitioning will make sure that there's less than 1,000 records in each partition. Although you may run into this with your projects, for this particular homework assignment, you should not have a problem. So from here, you can look at all the different the error rate, the confusion matrix. It breaks it down by training and validation. And then this is the model, which is an XML format, so it's not really helpful to you. But you can look at this type of data here to analyze how well it's predicting, figure out your accuracy rate, which is here, it's 84% correct. And you'll notice in this tree, if I go back to a best tree, one thing that's interesting about it is you have open price, closed price. I think you had currency in here, but really none of the categories showed up as good predictors. That tells me that that particular attribute is not very helpful in predicting whether or not you're going to have a successful auction. It looks like really the price is all that matters, and then a little bit at the end here, it looks like the currency matters a little bit, but for the most part, really open price is your best bet. That's going to determine whether or not it's successful. So it looks like if you look at this top node, that is telling you that is the best predictor in that particular set. And as you go down, it differentiates based on other predictors. So that, or other attributes in terms of how well it predicts your final outcome. So that's how you read it. That's how you run it. Again, if you have questions, let me know. Thank you.